So the first book by an African-American woman will be of a young slave girl, and her name was Phyllis Wheatley. So the collected poems of Phyllis Wheatley I would recommend. Just that this was literally, the child was brought here as a slave, was taught to read and write by her masters, and went on to learn Latin and Greek and to publish poetry. Okay, the next book is one of the first books written by an African American woman, and it's called Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl. And up until that point, all the books, slave narratives about black women, had been written by white women. The white women would write the story and they would fix it up. And this woman, Incidents in the Life of a Slave Girl by Harriet Jacobs, that is the first book we know written by a black woman that we know of, you know what I mean? Then some of the contemporary women, they wrote, start out with Zora Neale Hurston, who wrote Their Eyes Were Watching God. And this book has influenced many current black women writers, from women like Zadie Smith to Alice Walker. They were all influenced by Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston. And she was just an iconic, flamboyant figure. Of course, the Nobel laureate, one of the first women of color in the United States to win the Nobel Prize was Toni Morrison, and her book, Song of Solomon, which Obama says is his favorite book, is just fantastic. Sula, and then her novel Beloved, which won the Pulitzer Prize for literature. One of the best books, and often if you will read something like the 100 best books of the century, the 20th century, included will be Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison, which was a fantastic book, which began modernist literature in a way that hadn't been done with African Americans. James Baldwin, of course, is the iconic angry black man, and he just wrote beautiful books. Sonny's Blues, Go Tell It on the Mountain, Nobody Knows My Name, Another Country, Giovanni's Room, Just Above My Head. I mean, so he wrote a lot of really wonderful books. And then one of my absolute favorite writers is Richard Wright, who wrote Native Son, just made everybody mad with Bigger Thomas. Native Son, Black Boy.
When was that?
Native Son was published in 1945, if I remember correctly, but it was an instant bestseller, and just just kind of had everybody talking back then. And he, of course, left, became an expatriate, and went to Paris and lived there until he died. But his two most famous books are Native Son and Black Boy. So those are some of my favorites. Some of the poets who I really love, African American women poets, would be Lucille Clifton. The poet, her name is I, is spelled A-I. There's just so many wonderful African American poets. Another writer, novelist, who I think is very important, is Ernest Gaines, who wrote The Lesson Before Dying, and the autobiography of Miss Jane Pittman. So it's almost endless now. I mean, this is one area where black people have been very prolific and have really created a literature that stands up anywhere in the world.